Okay. So, would you say that Ike Turner is a dark a um a dark character?
I think that word is just fine to use to describe Ike. He had dark skin, he
I
had
mean,
a
not in
a
terms of, I mean,
darker
in terms of his,
underbelly.
yeah, yes, darker underbelly. Is
Of
it how?
course, of course. No, I'm just ruminating upon the many possible uses of dark to describe Ike. But I mean, absolutely, he had a dark upbringing, right? So he
Right.
grew up in small town Mississippi, and his father was lynched essentially. After his dad was beat up by a white mob. It took him 2 years to die, but there was
Mm-hmm.
that trauma. Ike was sexually assaulted when he was young. He grew up in poverty and was a hustler and had all these different jobs. And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think dark is a fair way to describe the man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In terms of his personality, and that's with most, because of his upbringing, it kind of evolves as to what type of person they would be. Many people, while they don't know, they're familiar with the musical. Everybody, are you afraid that people are going to compare it to the movie that everybody knows, and that in that type of framework? And do you worry about that?
Not at all. I hope they do. I mean, the movie is so good. Like,
It's classic.
of
It
course
is.
you're Of course you're going to compare it. But the thing is, even if you try to make a comparison, what Katori Hall has done in writing our musical is such a different journey. There are obviously a lot of things that overlap because it's still true to Tina's life story. But one thing in particular, I think we get in our show that's not in What's Love Got to Do with It is more of Tina's journey after Ike, right? Like, I think the movie focused on Ike and Tina because there's so much drama there, right? Which is
Sure.
understandable, Hollywood. But then
Mm-hmm.
we get to see the entirety of Act Two in our show is
Mm-hmm.
Tina fighting to make a name for herself and come into
Sure.
her own past Ike, which is really
Triumph,
beautiful.
yes, overcoming, yes. And I don't mean to focus. It's because I'm talking to you, at you're that character, so of course I have to talk to that, about that character. So that's why I bring it up. So,
Mhm.
you have, as I mentioned, you have quite a background in not in theater but also in television. Um, do you and you've done movies? Have you done movies? I didn't see. Have you done
I
film?
have I've done a few short films, waiting for my
Okay.
feature film debut.
I did
Yeah.
see that. Oh, okay. So, about the tour, how long is it? 2 years or a year?
It is, well, the current schedule, right? I think is essentially scheduled through a year. And 30 cities in the first year of this tour. And
Right.
no doubt, I think that the show will continue beyond that, as we've already seen that people have a real thirst for
Mhm.
Tina's music and her story around the country. But yeah, for a year to start.
So how does one prepare for, like, basically putting their life on hold, if you will, to to go out on the road for that extended amount of time?
First thing I did was talk to my wife.
Mhm.
That was a
Important.
necessary first stop.
Hmm.
But what's actually wonderful is so this is my national tour debut, first time I've ever done this. And my wife is traveling with us. She's
Oh, okay.
working as part of the crew, as one of the child guardians backstage,
Okay.
um, taking care of the younger actors and whatnot. And so that's been a real blessing thus far. But besides that, it's like, well, I got to figure out what to do with housing, got to figure out how we want to pack, and
Hmm.
got to just go all in on this experience because it really takes.
Yeah. So I imagine they give you, like, weeks off for Christmas, or do you get some weeks off? Or
We do. I appreciate you asking about that because that's important for us. Listen, we need that time, and yeah, we have a week at Christmas and we have a week next year. I think currently a couple layoffs, which will be really helpful in and amongst all of the picking up and going.
Hmm. That's important. So the other thing I wanted to speak to is how do we get more young people like yourself involved in theater? Like what can we get them to not theater but acting? Young people and children involved, young people of color. And I ask this from a personal standpoint because I run a film festival, Rhode Island Black Film Festival. So, and one of our things is to engage young people in careers in front of and behind in the film and in acting. So how do we engage young people to, in a career what you have, the career like you have?
Thank you for asking that question. I think we can start by making such a career more enticing, by making it more humane, by making it more loving, by making it more open, by making it less viciously competitive, by centering people's spirits instead of people's contracts. And I think if we take that step, then actually the arts entertainment industry will be able to shift in the circulation to where when, say, a young kid says, "Hey, mom, I want to be an actor," then mom will be uh, less inclined to respond by going, well, that's probably a terrible idea. Why don't you get something more stable that seems, a
Mhm.
smarter investment in your life and instead go, oh, yeah, I've heard good things about that. There's real changes happening in there. I think that could be a viable career path for you. So I think number one. And then number two is just finding a way to articulate the integral nature of the arts in human society, which is to say, be able to make the case for schools across the country to cherish, in fact, their arts programs and treat it like, ah, as important, right, as the STEM um, sort of mindset is currently. And then I think you'll see funding go up. I think you'll see again that encouragement for kids to get involved in the lifestyle will go up. So in other words, it's on us.
Mhm. Okay. So back to okay, so between I want to really encourage people to go see the musical. What made there's the term about it being a I guess it was a something musical. What I saw a term. What type of
A
musical?
bio musical.
No, there was another term reflecting on the jukebox musical or something.
Jukebox, yeah.
So what is that exactly?
Yeah, so a jukebox musical is a musical that is made up of songs of an artist that already exist, right? And it can take many forms. So Mamma Mia is a jukebox musical. Jersey Boys is a jukebox musical. So is Ain't You Proud, or
Mhm.
Donna
So
the Summer, the Donna Summer musical.
there's
All of
no
those.
original music in the, it's no original music just for the play. Is that what?
Uh, right. I mean, sometimes there is, but often it's like a transitional music that'll be a sort of remixed version of one of the artist's songs. But I mean, the point is, jukebox musical is the larger category, and underneath that is a bio musical, right? So a jukebox musical doesn't have to be a bio musical like All Shook Up. That's not like the story of Elvis's life, but ours is a bio musical as well. And I happen to think is the best one ever written. That's another nod to
Okay,
Katori
okay,
Hall.
a new genre. Okay. So yeah, no, because I grew up going to theater. I'll show my age by saying I actually saw Stephanie Mills in The Wiz as a child.
Yes.
Yes, I saw the original, all the, during that run of all the, back in the day. Yes, I'm very happy to have been able to have that experience. What do we need to do to get more musicals of people of color, like about the experience of the of the culture? What do you think should be done? And
Yeah, I think a lot of great work is already being done in that regard by groups like the Broadway Advocacy Coalition, um, by Black Theater United,
you
like
said
Black
what
Theater
the
Coalition.
advocacy coalition? Mhm.
Yeah, no, and these are so they started I think around 6 years ago. But some of the other organizations that I was just mentioning sort of either started or became more prominent in 2020, which is obviously when we had the summer of a racial reckoning,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people were just sort of put on notice about the state of BIPOC folks, of Black folks,
Mm-hmm.
in the theater, of the trauma that's been experienced. That it's because it's not just about on stage, right? It's about the process of making the show, and
Mm-hmm.
how are we honoring people within the midst of that process, and that of course connects to this question of producing, and who's deciding, who are the gatekeepers, that decide which show goes where when, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
all connected to this question of how do we get more shows of our people, necessary stories like this one, in the theater. And so, yeah, a lot of people are doing a lot of great work towards that regard. They're raising money to fund Black folks and BIPOC folks to be able to do apprenticeships, and be that, for producing, for props, for costumes, for lighting, for all these spaces in the
Mm-hmm.
theater that are less popular, by like minority populations. Yeah, and it's also, I think, making it again a priority. This idea that this manner of diversification is actually to everyone's benefit. That the long history of the industry here is just super white, and so actually even today, yet today in 2022, we are working against, right, this racist history that attempts to wipe us out. And so that work is ongoing, and it's having understanding of that as a necessary initiative is a big part of it.
Okay, I understand. Okay. Just I actually heard today that that's getting ready to open is Ali is coming to Broadway. The musical. I think it's a musical or play. They just announced it today on the Today Show. So yet another pick.
Yeah,
So
very
that
exciting.
so just to closing things, what do you want to tell me about the musical? Why should people go see it? Why should they be coming to see you in the ensemble, the great ensemble cast?
Yeah, come see it because Tina Turner's story is a story of liberation from violence, and a story of coming into one's own and believing in one's power of spirit and stepping into that fully. And while no doubt there is, the trauma of her story, um, much supplied by my character, and her finding a way through and over and above Ike, um, there's also this ecstasy and this euphoria, which I promise you the show leaves you with. In fact, I saw the original Broadway Academy 19, and it remains one of my favorite shows I've seen in the city, just because the woman playing Tina, Adrienne Warren, who won the Tony Award for playing Tina, was like at a 10 the whole show. She's sung 20 plus solos. It's been incredible. Everyone takes a bow, and then they do a couple more songs, and she takes it up to a 12, and it was like, oh my goodness, it was just one of the most exciting things I've ever
Okay, so
experienced.
people gonna be off their
So come for
off
all
their
of that.
seats. All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I want to give a plug. Please come and support the restaurants. Canes is a soul food restaurant. Something I will send Caitlin some restaurants y'all need to check out. Some places to make you feel a little home, get your little southern feel, and we're gonna come out and support. Trust me, the community's coming out and supporting. And
Absolutely.
I'm at a conference right now, Black Women's Conference, and putting the word out. So and I actually will see the owner, and I will tell her that you personally are gonna come by her restaurant and get some to eat. Kins.
Please do say the name of it again. You said
Kins,
Canes.
Kins, and I'll send it to Caitlin, Kins. Mm-hmm.
I got it. Got
All
it.
right, and then
Can't
I
wait.
Caitlin how to reach out to you in terms of my film festival in the fall. Maybe we can do a Zoom thing and you can chime in something while you're on the road or something. If you'll agree,
That sounds
if you consider
lovely.
that. So, all right, well,
Yeah.
enjoy yourself in time in
Yeah.
Providence. Maybe we'll see you around, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show. And thank you so very much for your time.
Thank
KINS.
you, and
Yeah, thank
I
you.
got it.
All right.
Appreciate you.